Hi, I'm Celine. I decided to ask these men across Australia and Aotearoa some questions during lockdown, and this is what they said. Enjoy!
So the first question I guess I have for you right now is, what have you struggled with the most during lockdown?
So I feel like in lockdown, it's just that things aren't normal. Like it's just that with all this like restriction in place, you can't go here, you can't do this. It's really hard to feel like yourself.
It's so easy to break the rules in these times because so many people are just craving for this, just a connection, and I think that's just like really sad. But I guess yeah, I've just been like so lonely.
As a residential leader, like our pastoral care has just increased so much since the lockdown started. I was meant to go back for mid-semester break, which was 10th of April. Yeah, and I'm not going back home now until the 18th of June.
The lack of structure in my life. I guess a surplus of energy not being used, or this like ball of attention that had nowhere to kind of veer to except for Netflix. So for me, it was the lack of structure.
I've noticed I've been drinking a lot more, which is odd because both my parents are not heavy drinkers.
So I live with my in-laws, my wife and my in-laws, and I hadn't gotten to see my family. So I visited my family yesterday when the lockdown first happened, and it kind of, the cases were rising, and is that lack of connection to family. Like, even though I have a roof over my head and I have family here, my in-laws, but it's not the same as home,
Yeah, coming back to Brisbane, back to my old mates, my old friends, was hard because then I'm back reunited with them, but can I actually go out and to see them and do those kind of things? I've got out a little bit to do some physical activity, but nothing like it was like what we used to be doing. We're all in the same city, but we can't see each other like how we used to, and it's just like I miss that feeling, I guess.
I think it's such a cliche one, but it's so true. It's like this kind of loneliness. Loneliness sucked, and of course, I texted my ex-girlfriend, and then found out she met someone else and stuff, which is obviously like super cool.
Like, I guess not having access to the same facilities that I normally would. Like, usually I can just walk straight across the road, and there's like a dance studio, there's practice rooms for singing, there's pianos, there's whatever I feel like I would need to use to rehearse. But at home, I don't have access to that sort of stuff. So it's a struggle to try just keep up and feel like I'm still managing to stay where I need to be.
On the flip side of that, what have you been most grateful for during lockdown?
It's hard to think about the homeless population when this was sort of starting, but then I noticed that there were a lot of places around Australia where they were setting up these temporary stays for them. Perhaps that might be something good that comes out of this in the end, is there might be some more permanent housing and shelters that are available at least.
Family time.
Just being with my family was like, I've got someone to talk to, I'm not by myself, and I've got a roof over my head, I'm warm, I'm fed, don't have to worry about groceries and money and all that. Just down here being with family, it's like really, I'm grateful for that,
having my family around as well. Like, my mum is very much like me, so having someone else feel what you're feeling and dealing with that together, it's been good. I feel like I've become a lot closer with my family.
I think family is like one of the things that I overlook, but now that I think about it, like I can be like, what am I most grateful for? Oh man, family's boring, man. Oh, I'm sick of it. I've been seeing them every day. Like, I'm sick of it. But it's like one of those things that you're gonna be like, nah, they do so much for you, And if you really think about the question, like, what are you grateful for? It's like, I'm grateful for them. Like, there's no one else I'd be as grateful to them as
to access communities that I wouldn't have otherwise. I'm Filipino, and being a Filipino Australian, there isn't much creative space dedicated to Filipino Australians. Whereas like in the diaspora, in the Filipino diaspora, there's like a lot of creative space for Filipino Americans. I've made a whole bunch of new connections that I would never have otherwise.
I'm glad that I have internet access.
Without it, I wouldn't be able to video chat my friends and my family and my girlfriend and stuff like that.
My God, I am grateful for where I'm living, who is our Prime Minister, the country that I'm in. I'm just fucking grateful about that, because watching other countries deal with this is unbelievable.
I feel like I am grateful for a lot of the spare time it gives me to think. Like, it's really good to just touch base and just plan out some of the stuff for the future, you know, like your goals and aspirations and things like that. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to really like understand where I'm at and like what the issues are, what the solutions are, things like that. Like, I've been making music because I thought I wasn't being creatively productive to more like uni work and stuff like that. So it's really good to just feel yourself sometimes, you know, not just what you're supposed to do or who you're supposed to be.
What are you afraid of right now?
Yeah, when my friend group gets together, it's changed. Like the dynamic has changed.
When I haven't seen people in so long, I lose kind of that like how to act.
And I was concerned quite a bit about my grandparents, and then ultimately my nan did pass away, but it wasn't as a result of coronavirus. It was a result of ongoing medical conditions and a chest infection later on. That was probably just the hardest part, is just not being able to sort of be there, I guess. And we only had a couple people that could sort of see her in the end, but it was one of the major concerns going in, and it sort of happened. So, yeah.
I get it's just all the uncertainty around it.
I might have to restart the whole first year again. Like, I don't think we will, but like, just if we keep going like this.
Probably just not doing as well in my studies, because it's taken a fairly big toll on how much I can study.
I feel like I just get into my own head sometimes, like, you know, will I make it? Will I not? Like, will I be good? Will I not? You know, just things like that. And I feel like if you're letting doubt creep into whatever you're doing, you're kind of like soiling it from the start, you know, because that's just negativity, and you don't want that with whatever project you're like trying to fix.
I'm kind of afraid of like it getting really bad.
And people not taking it seriously to the point where we'd have to stay inside for like a whole year.
Once we come out of this, we're not going to talk about the mental impact. I think that isolation has forced a lot of people to realize what it's like to feel trapped. And I think that self-isolation has put people in a very physical manifestation of that same experience. It's forced people to realize what it's like to be absolutely alone and not be able to kind of access the things that you would access to make you feel human. If we come out of this and we're just like, man up, then we're not really acknowledging the fact that the physical health crisis that this is also a trigger and also a indication or a reflection of the mental health crisis that we don't talk about.